I have this client, right? Uh, he's from New York. He used to work for a movie studio back in the 80s and 90s in New York. All right. So one day he tells me this story about Joe Pesci. I say, you wanna hear a story about Joe Pesci? You know who Joe Pesci is? Of course, I've seen him in the movies. I've never met him before or in person, but yes, I know who Joe Pesci is. All right, he says, well, let me tell you a story. The way you see him in the movies, that's exactly how he is in real life. He he's not acting. That's how he is. Joe Pesci is always Joe Pesci in the movies or in real life. So pretty much when they hire him to make a movie, they're hiring Joe Pesci to be himself. But anyway, we're in the studio making a scene of Raging Bull. He says, when I see Joe Pesci in one of the corners of the studio, he's practicing his lines. He's just walking around, acting Joe Pesci. And there's this kid, Jewish kid. He's a cameraman assistant. He's assistant to one of the cameramans making the movie. So he's in charge of telling the actors where to position themselves, where to stand, where to face for the angles of the movie. But I don't know, he says, if this guy was doing this on purpose or he really didn't know how to pronounce Joe Pesci's last name. So he kept calling him Pesci, Mr. Pesci. Mr. Pesci here, Mr. Pesci there. And I see Joe Pesci, he says. So he's there practicing his lines, and this kid, the Jewish kids, come and, hey, Mr. Pesci, we're ready to roll. Can you please position yourself there in front of the camera facing northward? Yes, right there, Mr. Pesci. And I see Joe Pesci's face. And he's just, Mr. Pesci. Anyway, I don't know how many times he called him Mr. Pesci, but at one point, Joe Pesci had enough. So he calls the kid. Hey, you come over here. Come over here for a minute. Come over here. Listen, you motherfucker, you. Why you keep calling me Mr. Pesci? Why you keep calling me Mr. Pesci? My last name is Pesci. Joe Pesci. I'm Joe Pesci. Pesci. Italian Pesci. It's not Pesci. You keep calling me Pesci. Why are you doing this? You're trying to bust my balls? Why you keep calling me Mr. Pesci? He said, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Pesci. I didn't know. You keep calling me Mr. Pesci. I'm going to tell you right now. This is the last time I'm going to tell you. Stop calling me Mr. Pesci. My last name is Pesci. And this is the last time I tell you, because this time it's going to be the last time. And he says, and the guy says, I'm sorry, Mr. Joe. I didn't want to offend you. And from that point on, he kept calling me Mr. Joe. He didn't want to risk it anymore. And that's the story. Thank you.